Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I'm gonna bring my guests up in a minute, but first and foremost, put a one in the chat if you can hear the sound of my voice. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Put a one in the chat. Let's go. Okay, I see those ones. Bring them in here. Come on, this is Sunday special. This is not re-recorded. This is live, ladies and gentlemen. This is live. And you heard the interview that I did with Juror 409. You heard part one, part two, but we're here for part three. And this is going to be good. I'm going to tell you something. The first interview, I would just say that it was really, really short notice. I wanted to give Juror 409 an opportunity to look at some things that we spoke about on the first interview, but I wanted to give her an opportunity to go back and look at things. And maybe she had some other things she wanted to add, or maybe she wanted to just correct the record. But she's giving me an opportunity to talk to her again. She's giving me the opportunity to talk to her again. And she's here. And before I bring her up, I just want to make sure everyone is paying attention. I don't want to, but her. And I want you guys to what I want you guys to do also is to have your questions ready. Have your questions ready and make it stand out. So get your questions ready because we're about to bring her up. Hold on a second. 1 second. I want to make sure the lights are on. I want to make sure you can see me. And I want to say something. I had a workout tonight. I don't know if you guys caught it, but I had a serious workout tonight. And the body's feeling good. It's feeling real good. It's feeling real good. Good evening. How's everyone doing? Now you can see me. Hey. But I don't want to keep her waiting. She's in the back. Let me bring her up. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please be nice to the guests and give her a welcome. Juror 409 is back. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Oh, I like. I love the graphics. Oh my goodness, that looks like a basketball with a number. No, that looks good. It looks good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Ready for bed so I can get up and return to work tomorrow.
Right. You don't have to go to the courtroom tomorrow.
Thank God.
You don't have to brave. You have to brave the cold, but just not at Fulton County Court, Superior Courthouse.
Absolutely not.
Man, it's been so much that has been said since we did our interview.
Yes.
And people have done reaction videos. They've done everything. And I know people talk. People like to talk,
Yes.
But what was interesting for me is some of your former juror colleagues were talking as well.
Okay.
They were talking, and they obviously had a lot to say. Mm-hmm. And before we go into that, people said, "We want to see her. We want to see her." Now, you gave me a great reason why you didn't want to get on camera. Absolutely. Share to the people why you didn't want to get on camera tonight.
Tell the people why?
Yeah, why? What's the most logical reason why you don't want to show yourself? We spoke about this.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that there are two sides to this whole street battle. Not only do you have the YSL side, but you have the YFN side. And so while I was for neither, I think it's important for me and my safety is to stay, behind me. And for my safety, because people are crazy,
And I think it was a bold move by the other jurors to get on camera because
Absolutely.
while the two defendants had a favorable outcome, some may view the decision in in a negative way, and they may lash out. They may lash
Absolutely.
out at different individuals. Did you think it was odd when you saw the other ones show their face on camera?
I didn't think it was odd. I realized what they're trying to do. But they put themselves out there as they did by faces. I don't think they recognize that the internet is very powerful. They may be able to discover who I am, but at the end of the day, I can take your face, snap a picture of it on Google, and you will pull up any and everywhere that you have a public profile.
Mm.
So whether they're on any social media aspects or they've ever had a situation where they've had to take a photo for something and it's public information, you can easily be found. And there are some smart people out there. So,
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. And I think, and that's their choice. Obviously, they
their
have a
prerogative.
whole entire. Well, three of them have a entire YouTube channel.
Hmm.
And I don't know if you had an opportunity to, and I want to get right into it. I want to play a clip. Um, I'm gonna bring this clip up. I want to get your reaction. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I want to play it now and get your reaction to this. You know those ladies? They look familiar.
Absolutely. Those are my fellow jurors.
Okay. Okay. Let me see what they have to say.
Everybody for sending questions to us.
And of course, if you have questions after this, go ahead and post it. Add it in the comment section. Send it as a DM, depending on where you're following us at. Let us know what you got. All right. So, first question: how did y'all feel about Juror 409 that kept interviewing, saying she was going to vote guilty?
We starting with me?
We can.
We know how she feels.
Right.
No, it's history behind that.
They pretty much said that's my auntie.
It's
Plus-
history behind that one.
Was not.
Okay.
I guess my personal feelings for that was just like, if that's how you feel, then that's how you feel. But some things are best left unsaid, because again, while we were there, and if we were there, we would have pretty much had the same verdict. We went off evidence, and the evidence that was presented was the verdict that you guys got. So,
But they
I'm
could
not
say the
sure.
same thing. I mean, she could say the same thing about us. Some things are better left unsaid because we're voicing our opinions too. So what makes that any different?
the difference is we went off the verdict. I mean, we went off the evidence.
Right.
So, was she going off the evidence or was she going off of her personal feelings?
But I don't know.
Well, before I finish playing that, what do you think about just that right there? See, I'm saying that were you going off the evidence or
It doesn't make any sense. And I'll start with this trial started with 18 jurors. 2 were dropped. I've said before, we've all come from different walks of life. I can tell you now, based on where I come from and how I received the information, it was likely not the same way they received it. And everybody's going to pay attention to different things. And unlike 508 and 387, I think,
right 387?
225 she put it in the right perspective. I could have thought the same thing about them. So again, we were all in the same room and I'm asking the same question that you all are asking. How did they get to that decision based on what they got? And I have to realize everybody looked at the evidence from their end. And as been noted, 225 is the only one who
Deliberated.
in the decision room. So again, my decision was based on the notes that I've taken from the entire year or whatever number of days we were on this trial. And again, the way the process works, and Judge Whitaker validated that when you come into a trial, I remember the first day we were given instructions from Judge Glanville, he said specifically, you can take all of it, you can take some of it, or you can take none of it. As you listen to the evidence, you have notebooks, You make notes, you write down the information based on what you're receiving, and then you go from there. So again, you can take all of it, you could take some of it, or you can take none of it. I guess they took none of it. That's their prerogative. That's how they voted. That's how they moved. At the end of the day, at the moment that it was time for deliberation, I never got to go to the room to get to weigh my stance in this particular trial.
And she said something, I want to say that was 504. There's history. What is she referring to when she says there's some type of history? What is she talking about?
There were a couple of little moments that I think that there were misunderstandings in the room. And I won't be very, unless they come out and say it, I won't come back and talk about it. But, and they did not address it just then when she made the comment. And I'm assuming that 508 didn't want to mention anything of it. So, but there were a couple of moments with 508 and myself that we had in the room. You know, I don't think everybody, over time, she and I, got to a cordial place. But I just think there were a couple of misunderstandings.
Okay. Do you think
in the group.
some of this had to do with like the age variance and
Absolutely.
because I think age played a factor even with the final decision when you look at the age of the jurors, for the most part, they all were kind of close to the age of the defendants. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say. That's fair to say. I will tell you about one moment, and it was kind of funny because I was a little shocked and surprised, and it will go back to this age difference thing. So in our juror room, we have 2 restrooms.
Right.
Now
Right. I
you
know.
have yeah. Can I talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have 16 people on break trying to use 2 restrooms. During that break time, you have an opportunity to call your family members to check in, see how they're doing, kind of, see if there's anything you need to know, things of that nature. And so everybody had gone to the restroom. I usually sometimes I'll run in if I'm the one really
Did I
calling for the
lose you?
in. I'll run in quickly. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. We had
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not sure if how much of that you heard. So on a
Don't say it again. Yeah.
during break time, you have 16 people trying to use the restroom. And so it looked like everybody had gone to the restroom. So by the time I had gone in, I was on the phone with my husband, checking in with him at the same time, trying to use the restroom. And then suddenly there's this knock, knock, knock on the door. And I'm thinking to myself, well, hey, I'm in here. And so they were like, well, okay, I need to use the restroom. I said, go to the other one. There was a second restroom. Well, I don't want to use that. What am I supposed to do about you not wanting to go use the other restroom when I'm using the restroom? So there was an assumption that I was just in the restroom talking to my husband and not using the restroom. And so I said, so when I came out of the restroom, I said something to the point of,
I'm laughing because I've been in a similar situation. I take the phone in and I'm on the phone and people think I'm just lollygagging, but I'm doing handling all my business.
Exactly. And so I thought it was rather petty, but what I said was, I said, child, let me hear you. I'm in here trying to take I said PISS and I didn't want to say it.
Right.
I
Number
said, but I'm
one.
in here trying to use the bathroom and you're banging on the door like a little child. You know how when parents go to the restroom and you disappear from the child and they come knocking on the door. In
Right.
my opinion, that's what it sounded like to me. That's what it felt like to me. And so I'm the older one. She's the younger one. And I told her that's what it felt like. Right.
Mhm.
So she said, I called her a little child and says, I'm a grown woman. I said, well, you're not acting like one.
Oh man.
So it was one of those situations.
Well, did it happen while you was in the bathroom or when you came out the bathroom?
After I came out. And
Oh
so
my goodness.
it got a little heated. But you know, I was good. I was
Okay,
good.
okay.
Yeah.
Woo! So that's what that. Okay, because it was some things were coded in. Obviously, I respect whatever it was that they didn't want to share.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and I'm sure over a year, close to a year, you guys had a lot of little different issues, small issues. That one right there was like, oh my goodness, you're already in a confined room, and then
Exactly.
then when you get into another room, and then you can't get no privacy.
Correct. Correct. There's no privacy in the place.
Oh my goodness. Let's listen to some more. Let's play a little more here because I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
What she was going off of, but I see that on these social media streets, y'all are letting her have it. And it actually makes me feel bad because I actually like old 49. Like, we used to ride together, but that was the most surprising part to me because when you hear this after the fact, I would have never, I didn't think that she was, on our side. Like, she wasn't rocking with us like that, but I also totally didn't see her kind of flipping and doing the stuff that she said in that interview. Like, that completely shocked me.
I'm just
Okay. What did you
So
think about that clip right
So
there?
I'm a little bit surprised by 225's comment there. So let me give you some history of how I treated everybody in the room. No one person was better than the other. No one person deserved anything more than the other. There were some that were more vocal than others, but I was probably one of the more common people with everyone. I was the person bringing in cupcakes for everybody's birthday. There was some support, and some would say, "Hey, you don't have to buy these all the time. Let me give you some money." So I had a couple of people doing that. So keep in mind, we were together for an entire year. I was the most one of the most cordial people in that room, had a problem with no one. So there should never have ever been an incident where anybody had a problem with 409. And then when she said we used to ride in together, I was actually picking her up and taking her home. But she presented it in a different light. But, in essence, she was, we were cordial enough that she could call me. And I said, you don't have to worry about anybody having to pick you up. I have to pass your way and I can go your way to get home.
Right.
And
You
so,
guys, right. Yeah.
yeah, so
And then you also save on resources as well.
it saved on resources. Like we could carpool. And so I didn't have a problem with that. So why they had a problem with me beats me, but I'm good. I'm secure. I'm good.
Right. And the fact that the video, I don't want people to understand this. When they did this video on their channel, they put 409 in the title. So obviously, I want to give her an opportunity to respond to what they said. They put her on the title, and she's here. She's pulled up. So I want to
Absolutely.
offer that platform.
They called for me. They called for me.
They call for.
I'm here.
Here we go.
curious as to know your why. We can argue all day long and say that they're not guilty, but I'm pretty sure I would have felt comfortable with being able to articulate why I said they're not guilty, or where I had doubt making them still not guilty. If you were hell bent on saying that they are, why is that?
But a lot of people hide behind their religion, and that was a big thing there.
I mean, the Bible.
Come on now. Come on.
Separation of church and state.
Come on
The
now.
doctrine of separation of church and state. Did you bring the Bible in the room? Well, did you have the Bible in the room, and were you preaching to the girls? Were you giving sermons?
How about this? I brought prayer to the room.
Okay.
Because we were about to take on a very high profile trial. And there were moments where we engaged with prayer, where we asked everyone that would want to, would you take time to pray today? And so 508, she prayed a couple of times. I thought it was beautiful. I prayed. We had some of the other jurors praying. So we tried to do that in order to bring some unity to our space and some peace, because We didn't know what we were going to see throughout this trial. And I can tell you that prayer was necessary. And so after a while, there was so much foul language going through the room that it was a battle. Okay. So again, you don't have to beat anybody over the head with anything. Either you want Jesus or you don't. But I wasn't trying to bring Jesus to nobody. What my goal and purpose was is to bring peace to our space so that we all could come together, work together. Again, I tried to be the unity in all of it, you know. I tried to bring unity.
I would say this. Just seeing what was happening throughout the trial, it would be a lot for the average person to deal with. So, you know, and you know, I mean, even me in that courtroom, I felt the energy and the spirit was bad, and you know, it was a lot of things. And those who covered the trial, they saw a lot of bad energy coming out of that courtroom. So anyone that can offer any type of wisdom, not whatever is necessary for that calm, I have no issue with it. What doesn't apply, let it fly. Whatever helps some, because people come from all different walks of life, and you are right. You didn't know what you were walking into, nor did anyone from the other side know what they was going to walk into, and I don't have an issue with it, and I'm I'm sure they probably didn't, but I wasn't in the room. But just people have their moments, and that's why I say there's a doctrine of separation of church and state, and it's for a reason. Because some people want to go in, because that's not part of again, that's a whole nother conversation. But I get it. And hopefully it's still a learning experience. And those people, listen, if you don't like what you're listening to right now, exit stage left. This is a conversation. This is Sunday conversation. We having a conversation. That's it. Absolutely. Now, what I want in talking about, I'm gonna finish playing this, and I want to play some of the clips from the trial that you
definitely says those without sin cast the first stone. So there's still checks and balances, regardless of religious or faith base. My thing is that will still go back into opinion, right? Based upon the information that we were given. If you're going to say that they're guilty, tell me why. Right. I mean, you're entitled to it, but stand on it and have some kind of evidence to back it. If the opportunity ever presents itself, I mean, 409 is always welcome to come out and kind of say her position.
We would love it. We're going to reach out to 409. We're going to reach out to 409. Would y'all like to see a conversation between us and 409?
I think we should.
I think we should.
Yeah. It's not an attack. I'm very curious as to.
Hold that right there. So let me ask, this is a $1 million question right now. They have asked you to come on their platform. Would you be willing to go on their platform and sit down with them as a group and talk about your viewpoint on the case?
They don't deserve me on their platform. Absolutely not. Not when you bash a person and then you want to turn around and invite them to your space. Absolutely not. When I say they don't deserve me, you don't get to bash me and then treat me as if I don't have a stance. And let it be known again, 225 was the only one in the verdict room. Right. So and making and a part of the decision process. So 387, I think that's her number. I can't see it from my phone, but
387.
She's being very vocal about my stance. Why don't you be concerned about your stance? And that's all you get to worry about. You don't get to worry about my stance. My stance is yet my stance. And from what I gathered in what I took, from what I heard, my stance still remains guilty. Now, I never made it to deliberation. So until I would go through the entire evidence along with the indictment and the judge's complete orders, my stance remains what it is. 508 can't change it. 387 can't change it. and 225 can't change it, and none of the other groupies can change it. It is what it is. Live with it. But I will not be on their platform. Thank you.
Okay, well, 508, 387, and 225. She's that's official.
Okay.
Let me ask you a question. Did you have any and I'm going to ask this because people have been saying this and asking the question. I didn't ask you before. Do you have any family members that work in the prosecution office?
I do not. I didn't know
Okay.
Love. I didn't know Love. I didn't know Hilton. I didn't know Abante. I didn't know Christian. I didn't know any of the prosecution office prior to this trial. I didn't know Thug. I didn't know Jeffrey Williams, who are this one in the same. I didn't know Attorney Adams. I didn't know one person in the jury room. I didn't know any of the judges. I didn't know any of the defense. Why are y'all playing with me? I don't
Okay,
get.
so
Yeah, it's very, please understand. I don't know any of these people involved with this trial. I came to know who they were based on what was presented to me in the indictment and after coming to this process.
So my good friend in blogging, Kat Not Williams, asks a question. Can you see the question on the screen?
It says, how do you believe you brought unity and helped people could work together? Is it helped
Help
people
people help
could
people
work?
work together, but also said you would be a holdout without deliberating. That's
Uh,
incompatible.
so Kat Now Williams, please understand this. If you've never sat on a jury trial, then you won't understand this. But let me educate you a little bit. This is something I didn't know, but I've come to learn I was on point with. When you sit on a jury trial, you come in as an unbiased juror. You sit for the evidence. Once you get all of the evidence played over whatever period of time that you have to listen to the evidence, you either have a stance on whether they're guilty, whether they're not guilty, or whether you're in the middle. Though that's a stance. It's not an affirmative uh, place, it's a stance. You know how you're going in. Then you get to deliberation. You go into the deliberation room, you sit with your jurors, and you take a poll. You take a poll to see where people are. You gauge where they are so you'll know what you got to do in this process. After you do that, then you can come to your final decision and conclusion based on the evidence. So at the end of the day, if you will go back and listen to the day that Judge Whitaker brought juror number 56 in because of his aggravation toward the trial, Attorney Hilton said the same thing you all are thinking to Judge Whitaker. And Judge Whitaker said, no, no, no. When a juror sits for evidence, they hear the evidence, and by the time of deliberation, they have a stance. They kind of know where they're going by the time they get into deliberation. You don't believe me? Go back and watch the YouTube, because I guarantee you will get that from a judge. Case in point.
Case in point.
I'm tired of that question. I'm tired of that
Okay.
question. And this was my first trial, so I didn't know that that's the way that it moves, but I guessed it right. I simply guessed it right. You have to have some kind of idea where you're going to be by the time you go into deliberation. You have an
Okay.
idea, a stance. You're
Okay.
standing in a certain place, whether it's all the way to the left, all the way to the right, or in the middle.
Okay. This is okay. Let's see. No. No. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. No middle. Sorry. Okay, no, we're not gonna. Okay, I had to post that. What I do is I post the comments. Let's see. Hold on. Let me move this out of here. We'll take that out. Hold on. I don't want to miss a comment. Gotta be respectful. Okay.
I'm
This
not
one
sure.
comes from. I've been a jury. You are supposed to start out biased towards the state
Exactly.
prosecutor.
Hmm.
Right. Would you agree?
Again, my comment does not change.
Okay.
You're still unbiased up until you've heard all of the evidence, right? So it doesn't say that I'm going to be voting. I said my stance, not
Understand.
my vote, my stance. Now, if I said vote, I'm clearing that up. My
Okay.
vote at the time of going into deliberation, it remains this it remains the same. My stance remains the same at the time of deliberation. That has not changed. I had a stance where I was on what I perceived the evidence from what I gathered, what I garnered. And then once I would have gone into deliberation, then we have a time and an opportunity to weigh that. Now,
You
again,
have
if they don't believe it, tell them to go listen to the video. I don't have another comment on that.
right. You had an opportunity to look at the indictment, correct?
I have not. I got it, but I've been on with another juror who kind of, yeah, I've been on with another juror that kind of talked about things that happened in the deliberation process and in the room. There was some bit of confusion. There was a lot going on in there. And I've talked to two jurors on the decision making side, and they have clarified enough for me that there was some confusion on how they were to proceed, and there was some evidence that they disregarded based on what the judge told them to do. So I I got it out of two final jurors' mouths, and so hopefully, I hope that doesn't matter or make any difference in the situation. It is what it is. The vote has been taken, and we have to respect that stance or that decision. At the
Well,
end at the end of the day, you can't take anything back.
right, right.
So,
The jurors made their decision based on what the judge told them. But I'm just a little curious as to what was ambiguous for those two jurors. Were
oh,
they,
there was some evidence presented in the closing arguments for that Miss Hilton made. Now, throughout the trial, evidence was submitted in groups, right?
Mhm.
So if you took a group of photos that started at, we'll use my number 409, started at 409A and went all the way to 409Z, that group of photos might have contained evidence that wasn't shown until it was entered as evidence and approved by the judge as evidence. It was not refuted by the defense. It was entered as evidence and saved. And while it might have been shown, there was no focus on it, right?
Okay.
Because there was no focus on it during the trial at closing arguments, this is something that I caught that others didn't catch. And so that's what gave me my final stance. The evidence concerning the vehicle that
Yeah,
was
maybe excuse the witness. Yeah, Mr.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
the evidence concerning the car, the Audi that was cleaned, and why no um, gunpowder residue was found in the vehicle because the car was clean. There was also a recorded call, them talking about, well, if they try to find, if they check the car, if they get the car, we ain't worried about that. They ain't gonna find nothing in that because they knew they had cleaned the car. And so when closing arguments came, the photos showing where you had the water residue marks from the cleaning of the vehicle, it wasn't pointed out until, or it wasn't shown or focused on until closing arguments. But I think that was strategic by the prosecution so that the defense would not attack it during the process.
Okay.
That was something I was able to catch on to during the trial.
Do you know how tint application works? We're talking about the car, the car being tinted. I think Kat wanted to talk about the Kat. I want you to flush that question out a little further, Kat. I think I know what you're saying, but go ahead and flush it out a little more, Kat. Okay. I want to play a clip for you. I don't know if you've seen this clip. I don't know, because there's a lot there, and I'm sure it's going to take you another year to catch up to the trial from the sidebars and things that you weren't able to see. But I want to play this clip here. I just pulled this one. Hopefully, it's the one I want you to see. I want you to give me feedback on this.
Okay.
Marco, you can go ahead and step outside for us. Thank you.
And that's a prosecutor Sprinkle, who was just on the stand.
Mm-hmm.
Your Honor, so well, first of all, my motion is a motion for mistrial based on the actions of the prosecutor. My objection initially to the item was that it contained hearsay. The state represented at the bench that it was not hearsay. There was no hearsay contained in it. We did not address the issue of what the state already knew, which is that there was a phone number attached to it that she was going to try to elicit testimony from this witness about who that phone number belonged to. That in and of itself is speculation, but it's certainly hearsay. The document can't authenticate itself. I believe the site for that proposition is Twiggs versus State. It's 315 Georgia Appeals 191. So this witness can't look at a document and say that it says this phone number is from Justin Cobb's Instagram or social media posting. This is who it belongs to. So that was my objection. I believe the objection was well-founded. I believe the state purposely put that up there after misrepresenting as to whether or not it contained any hearsay in it. And based on that, I would move for mistrial.
May I respond?
You may.
Judge,
Can somebody put the document up? I'm listening.
yes.
Would you put it up?
First, the state objects to a mistrial. Second, Your Honor, what Mr. Adams indicated that he did not want on here were the comments with where's the phone number? There it is.
Yeah,
Okay.
the comments generally being all of the writing on the right side of the picture.
Your Honor,
And so I said to you, is any of it hearsay? Is any of it being offered for the truth? And you said, no.
Your Honor, what I was asking the witness to do is to tell what was of significance to that number and what he did in terms of finding out and corroborating information that he obtained, because he obtained phone records. I don't intend that this evidence or this exhibit will prove or show that this is Justin Cobb's phone number.
You're asking him that? And
No,
asking
Your
him
Honor,
to testify to that?
I'm asking him, and I understand the court, I'm asking him
you?
what handle it's next to, and Your Honor, what he did after seeing what he saw on this
That's
social
not what
media
you
page.
asked. You represented at the bench that none of this, that being the writing on the right side of the picture, which we're all squinting at because it's tiny on the piece of paper. And so I am relying upon you to actually be honest with the court and opposing counsel so that we can deal appropriately with the evidentiary issue. Was any of it being offered for the truth? And you said no. And then you turned around, and after it was admitted over the overruling of the hearsay objection, based on the representation that nothing was being offered for its truth, you drew the witness's attention to the phone number and tried to have the witness testify to whose phone number it was. If that
So right there, you didn't get a chance you didn't know this was happening. You didn't see this happening. You didn't know this was happening, but this was just one of many times that Judge Whitaker had to address the prosecution, and particularly um, DA Love.
Yeah.
What did you think about that exchange right there?
You know, the judge is doing what she's supposed to do, and that is manage the court, manage the process. And the only thing that I could say, I felt like so two things. I felt like I felt a lot of hostility with Judge Whitaker. And I wouldn't say I sensed a lot of hostility toward the prosecution with Judge Whitaker. I just felt like there's something there that um that may not necessarily had anything to do with this trial, but was just something underneath this whole process. And so again, I don't know.
Hold on. I can't just let you say that. I need for you to flush that out.
Flush it out. What I'm
Flush it a little
saying,
more. Yes.
what I'm saying is, I watched pretty much everyone that I could see, right?
Mhm.
And Judge Whitaker wore a lot of looks on her face. And especially when Love was there, there were just these looks that were like angry looks. So I was trying to figure out, why is she looking at her like that? What is that about? So that when I say that, it just kind of sensed that there was something. I wasn't there for that, but it was distracting. So not only have people accused Love of distracting us or the courts with her reactions, I do feel like Judge Whitaker was a little distracting, in my opinion. That's my opinion. For me.
You think the judge was more distracted than prosecutor Love?
No, that's not what I said.
No,
I said, yeah, I just said
I'm
that
just trying to reconcile between the judge, because I too was in the courtroom.
Right.
I don't know if the judge was in the comments, because there are people in the comments that watched the case and everything. I don't know if the judge was honing in on her in particular, but I think she was, I guess, chastising the whole team for things that they should have done. I don't know. There's just the whole management and so forth of this, of how not even management, but how the prosecution put their case on. I
Yeah.
think that the judges, she's really, and you said so yourself, that she was essentially starting on time, and she doesn't like the court's time to be wasted.
Yeah.
But again, this
court.
is your opinion. I respect what you say.
Just my opinion. She managed it well. I didn't have any problems with Judge Whitaker. Let me make that clear. I didn't have any problems with her. I just wondered why. It just felt hostile. You get what I'm saying? I felt like there was reprimanding. We get sent to our room often. Hold for a second, please. I felt like, again, I give her props for managing her court, but there were some hostile moments, even that we got to see the early side of before being sent to our room. So
Since
yeah.
where you say that, I'm like, I feel like
We felt like we were being sent to our yeah.
let me pull this up here.
Or until the suspect reinitiates the conversation. They hold
Your
those
Honor,
two
at
things.
some
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I got to bring this one up too now. This is an exchange with Judge Glanville and the prosecutor. So that's just kind of, and you heard a lot of yelling in the back. You don't know what that yelling was about, but I want to play another clip. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, let me bring this up here. This is a story, but I just want to play this one real quick here. Just listen to this.
Your Honor, I'm sorry, I'm talking,
Your
and
Honor,
I
at
don't know
some
why I
point,
am being interrupted. I will
rulings
not
need to
stop.
be
Your
final.
Honor. I was speaking.
Ms. Love, y'all got.
I'm sorry, I was
Both
speaking.
y'all keep talking at the same time.
I know, I was
Honor, the
speaking, and I
state-
expect to
Hold
be
on, wait.
allowed to speak when I'm speaking.
Hey, both of you all need to just take it down a notch.
And so, Your Honor, if I may finish, because I was the one speaking before Mr. Weinstein interrupted.
But you continually engage in this pattern of behavior, Ms. Love. You don't want to accept my ruling.
Your Honor,
And I know you're being an advocate, but at some point, stop. Just stop. I made my ruling. Good, bad, or indifferent to you. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some.
I do accept that
Okay,
fact.
no,
but
you
Judge, we
don't.
have
No,
not-
you don't.
Your Honor, we have just not been able to present the evidence that
No,
the-
you don't.
that the
I
state
get it.
has
I
to
get it. And
present, or until the suspect.
Okay, so this is Judge Glanville addressing Prosecutor Love. What did you think about that exchange? Because you weren't able to see that.
No, these sound like moments that were outside of our purview. But let me say this, however, there were many times that you could hear the the voices vibrating the walls in the back. And so you don't understand or know the context or the content of why it's happening. But yes, we're too close to not hear it. But as jurors, you're challenged to not pay attention to that. And so the opportunity to walk out of the juror room into the hall gave us an escape, because we knew when there were some moments that were not good, and we didn't know why, who, or what was happening in the courtroom.
Okay, so I want to play another clip. These are the things that you didn't get a chance to see. So I'm just pulling clips up here. Hold on. This is this. Let me play this here real quick. Here,
Your Honor, I apologize for interrupting the state.
Hold on. I want you to watch this one.
Okay.
Hold on. It's a little moment in time. Hold on. We want to bring this up. Let me bring your screen up here real quickly. Yeah. I want you to look at this.
State earlier, but the state can talk the ears off a donkey. This continued filibustering has got to stop so that opposing counsel can speak. Your rulings at some point have got to be final, Your Honor. Whether you hear from Detective Thorpe or not is irrelevant. He requested his lawyer. He invoked his right to not speak anymore. And I don't care what schmoozing Detective Thorpe did out at the Sally Port, taking my client off camera. I don't know what went on down there. I don't know what self-serving, well, I have some idea. I don't know what self-serving statement Detective Thorpe could possibly give to this court that would cause the court to change their order. This continued going back whenever the state loses in this case has got to stop at some point, Your Honor.
And not hearing from the people who were actually standing there talking to and listening to the defendant. Unless without hearing Detective Thorpe, the court is making a credibility judgment before even hearing what he has to say.
May I please speak? Please, may I please speak?
And Your Honor, I was asking that the court,
Are you finished now?
I was not, Your Honor.
Are you finished or are you done?
Honor, she is-
Hold up. You got 30 more seconds. Wrap it up.
And Your Honor, I'd ask again the court for the opportunities for the state to be able to present evidence so that the state can meet its burden and not have the court make any kind of ruling based on really partial pieces when the court does not have a totality of the circumstances as a part of the record for the court to consider. So I would ask the court in earnest to allow us to at least present the testimony of Detective Thorpe. If not today, I don't mind doing it. I said in my email to the court and to counsel that we can do this.
Okay, so here, Doug Weinstein, and this was a phrase that I use sometimes when I'm what I was watching the trial. He accused her. He told her that she can talk the ears off a donkey. Now you didn't see this type of energy because you guys had to leave the room.
Right.
Now that you see what we all have saw, at least this part, has this swayed your opinion as to why this case ended up resulting in a not guilty for Mr. Kendricks and essentially a not guilty on all the accounts with the exception of one for Mr. Stillwell? There was a lot of issues going on in the prosecution.
So I've always said that I felt like the state's presentation of the case there were some terrible moments, right? I've always said that. I've even since spoken with them and shared my feelings on some things. And so
You spoke with who, the state?
the state, I was one of the individuals not on site when they went in to see the jurors. So I got to, I guess they wanted to see how where I was and how I felt they presented their case and whatnot. So I was able to tell them that there were some pretty poor moments in the whole deal. And I have to, I have to say again.
So you spoke to them after the case concluded?
Yes, after everything concluded. Yeah, days after. But I think on what's today, Sunday, on Friday, they did get to call me, and because they said they had not spoken with all of the jurors, and so they were going to be making their rounds to all of the jurors. For those they didn't get to speak to, and those they did, they wanted to speak with everyone. But here's what I was trying to say. Being a first-time juror, there were things that, you just really unlearn in, right? And it would be an awesome opportunity. There's an awesome opportunity here for more education to maybe be brought into whether it's school system or so that you don't have to go and try to learn law on your own, right? And there were a lot of things I came into this trial not knowing. I'm just being
Well, that's
honest.
what the judge does. The judge instructs you on the law at the conclusion.
Yes, he does. But again, we heard the indictment. Oh, this process was arduous, right? It was long. It was a long process. You get a juror letter, you get a summons to say, hey, you need to call this number because we want you to, your summons to court, right? So you call, validate you got the letter, and then they tell you that you need to report on a date. You come in, you might sit for long periods of time when you come in and you go through the process. I'm probably going to skip a little bit of what the process entails, but you come in, you get your instructions, and then you're told bring in your jury duty policy. You sit, you hear the indictment. And by the way, while you're hearing the indictment, I was blown away to learn that the individuals, the defendants are actually in the room while you're hearing the indictment, right? And so I'm like, oh wow, like
You were blown away that the defendants were in the room hearing the indictment?
while the indictment that you're hearing that this case is about, while you're hearing the charges, the defendants are there. Again, I'm green. So I was like, wow, they're in the room with us right now, is what I'm saying. They were in the room with us at that particular moment. And so this is a first time process. So I'm trying to understand how this thing works.
Right.
So while we're hearing Judge Glanville read the indictment and the charges against the defendants, we have to complete I think that document might have been 30 pages. You have to do your history on your family. If
You're talking voir dire.
the voir dire process, yes.
Right. Okay. So here, and this is important for people to know, those who don't know, that in every stage of this, of the prelims and the trial, the defendants have the right to be in the room because, you know, the prosecution are making allegations against the defendant, so they need to be there at every stage of it. Um, and I don't know if you were concerned because of security reasons, but this is the process. They have to be there at every stage of the
Well,
every
that's what,
proceeding.
like, yeah, right. So what all I'm saying is I'm trying to like talk through this process.
Mhm.
You don't know what to expect. You're not told what to expect. You're brought into it all and you're introduced to it all. It was just, you know, you're initially when we were brought in through back room elevators. Like, you know, we were brought in underground, brought in through these back room elevators, and it was like, wow, you know, it's a whole lot of people and you're going through this process and you're thinking, okay, what is really going on? But again, we understand we're getting ready to be to go through that jury selection process. And so
Well, let me ask you a question. At what point did you realize that you were involved in a very serious trial, RICO? When did that kick into you that you were a part of probably one of the first RICO gang case in Georgia, and obviously you now know there's the longest RICO case in Georgia as well. Um, you didn't. At what point did you realize that this was something very serious for you and others that participated?
yeah, during that voir dire process, you know, this is before you're actually given a juror number. You hear the indictment before you're actually given a jury number. And from the moment of hearing the indictment, when you report back, you're reporting back as a number.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So you leave that process having filled out this form, you leave that form, they give you a sheet with your juror number on it, and you refer to that number from there for going forward, right?
Mhm.
And so um even through that process, you're brought in, you're put on, you're put on the witness stand to go through them asking you questions, you know, to see if you can be you're vetted practically.
Hold on one second. I want to drop the link. I want to bring one person up
Mhm.
because she is uh, engaging in the, you know, in the chat, but she's also someone that I respect her content. I wanted to come up. This link I'm gonna drop is for Kat. I want Kat to come up. Kat,
Okay.
not Williams. Uh, bring her up. Um, Kat, the link is there for you. Just click on the link, Kat. Uh, come on, Kat. Pull on up. Pull on up, Kat. Let me put that link there. Bring Kat up here real quick. I'll show that link. No, that's not what I'm trying to do here. Hold on. Oh, get that out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Let me drop the link again. Kat, I dropped the link for you. Look at this. Oh, these comments popping up here. Okay, I'm gonna pin that. Pin that for you. Okay, good. I'm trying to slow down the comments. Okay, that's not Cat. Is that Cat? I need to see a face. I don't look like Cat. Cat, get on camera because someone just probably typed their name. I want to make. I don't look like you, Cat. You got to turn your camera on. Turn your camera on, or let me hear your voice.
I don't think that was a picture that she had on her page.
Right. I don't think so either. Don't come up here playing games. Don't come over here playing games. Cat, where you? Okay, let's see. It's me. It's you? Okay.
It's me. Sorry, I'm not near my computer.
Oh, okay. You had a scared now. Cat, we ain't playing no Cat, come on.
Camera's on. Hi, Cat.
Listen, 409. I love the logo. I really do. The cleaning spray.
Hey, it was the best I could come up with.
I do love it.
Cat, I'm used to getting on camera. Cat, what are you doing over there? What you got going on over there?
Sorry, I have all my Christmas cooking today, so I've been running around. I'm not at my computer.
Christmas cooking? It's not even the 20. What are you talking about Christmas cooking? It's too early.
Well, like baking and stuff, doing some cookies.
Okay, because I'm about to say, if you baking now for Christmas, someone's gonna be some stale cookies around.
No, they'll be gone by like 2 days from now. But
so it's not really Christmas cooking. It's just getting this spirit
cookies before Christmas.
Right.
Right.
Like, Kat, what questions do you have? Because you were firing off a few of them.
So, well, there are a few, and I missed trying to get on StreamYard. I missed whatever the last thing that you guys may have ended off on. So I guess no problem to start a new question, right?
No problem.
All right.
Go ahead.
So I believe, and I could be mistaken, but I believe in your first interview with Mr. Byron, you said that you were a legal professional or you worked in the legal field in some capacity. But there have been several things that you've said that make it seem like even though you've had this experience where you've served, you've done your duty as a juror, you weren't in the deliberations, but you got up to that point. But there are several things that you've said that I guess if you could just explain your understanding of burden of proof to the audience, that would be very helpful for us to anchor where you are.
So I understand that every defendant is innocent until proven guilty, right? And so it still goes back to the state, and the state has to prove without a reasonable, within reasonable doubt or without reasonable doubt that a defendant is guilty. Now, again,
that was a good correction there.
Yeah, I had to make sure I got my word. So again, I still want people to understand that hearing evidence from my standpoint, right? From my standpoint, the evidence I took down, I had a stance, not a decision. I had a stance that I was prepared to go into the deliberation process with. And then from final orders from the judge, based on what we could make we could make a succinct decision on, either come to one side, back to the middle, or away from where I was. But hearing all the evidence, I took a stance. That's all I did, simply. My first call probably was of shock and surprise, only based on where I stood, right? It was based on where I stood, not what anybody else thought or put together or took down or whatever. It was based on where I stood, the notes that I kept up with, the evidence that I saw, and how I weighed that evidence. Now, when I take what I weighed and go into deliberation, I might have been able to see where I might have been thinking incorrectly or whatever. At this point in time, I never made it to deliberation. So my stance still remains the same. I have not changed that. I respect the decision of those who did deliberate, but still I have a stance, and nobody.
Well, this seems very different from what I heard. I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 days ago at this point, where you said that you think you would have hung the jury. Have you like, is this like a change of?
No, what I'm saying is, if I was in the deliberation process and I was not able to come away from, I would have held my stance. That's all I said. Now, what I do know is that hanging a jury, what that does means that you've just taken a stance and you have not moved into the area where the others might have been, or a percentage of the others might have been. That's all that means for me.
I
Now,
think this answer is a lot more reasonable. I do think there's this, I know you said it's what you said last week, but it sounds different than what you said last week. And I replayed it several times. I'll replay it again though.
So did you
No, we
play
remember, Kat. We remember.
the first or the second? Because I thought I made myself clear in the second one, in the second interview. The first interview, I was a little shocked, surprised.
Right. There was a part two as well. The one where I did with attorney Akeisha's attorney at Shabazz, correct?
Yes. So when you were speaking with Ms. Shabazz, and it was a answer you gave in response to her, you started off by saying there were moments. I think it was during a branch off of the conversation on the comparison between, Judge Glanville and then Judge Whitaker, and the change when the judges changed in the case. Mm-hmm. And you kind of touched on it in a different way, not directly tonight, but you made a point on your second interview. We'll call it the middle interview.
Okay.
Where you said that, you kept feeling like when there were these objections that things were being hidden.
No, I didn't say hidden. I said quashed.
When you said when they tried to quash things, you would ask yourself, what are they trying to hide from us? Right. That was how you answered.
Okay. Or what are they not wanting to be presented is what I.
That type of answer is against the burden of proof. The defense does not have the burden of proof.
Correct.
So there is no trying to hide.
Right. Correct. So keep in mind, Kat, and I'll say, I've said this on numerous occasions, I think people are not really understanding, again, when I say this, I'm a first-time juror. So I may not say all of the correct language, and it goes back to not knowing this process, not ever being called. I'm 50 plus. I won't give my exact age, but I'm 50 plus. I have never.
Well, I understand you're older than the pool of the three jurors.
Correct.
The ladies that the three numbers.
Not the total older, and but but never being called to jury duty ever, not in Georgia, not in from other states that I've lived in. So and so you don't have a reason to try to know this process, right? That's where I'm coming from. I've never had a reason to try to know how this process works.
What exactly, can you give you don't have to get specific, but broadly, what is a summary of your career, your professional expertise? Your career field.
I would say I moved into the legal aspects of the education system. So my legal knowledge comes from the K through 12 system and the employee separation system. So it's not jury trial, it's none of that. It's more education based and employee based.
Okay, so do you work with the capacity of people that are younger than you? Are you purely administrative, or are you like in a building where you interact with people that are different ages? Just trying to kind of have an understanding of some of the dynamic that you've described between yourself and those three, at least the younger women on the jury.
So I interact with lots of people. I mean, I work in an administration building, so I interact with all ages. So
I think I have to,
except the children.
Kat, I'm gonna have to go interject a little bit, just because of what she does for a living. I don't, she did the whole voir dire process. So whatever, came out of that, and we'll go back and look at it. I think it's probably best to look at that, because what I don't want to do is say something to kind of expose her.
Absolutely.
Too much, Kat. You follow?
No, that's true. Yep. So I just wanted to get a clarification, because within this interview that you've done today, before I came up here, she was very ready, Ms. 409. You were very ready to educate in a response to a question for me, but I feel as if you were probably speaking to educate the audience here, share your thoughts. You're giving your experience as someone who sat on a jury. You also spoke on deliberations, even though you didn't take part, you haven't experienced deliberations.
No, I haven't.
And then you said something that you seemed to believe that the three ladies were bashing you, and within a sentence after that, you called them groupies. So I'm just trying to get an understanding of how much of experience you have with people, social interpersonal relationships with people women maybe that might be younger than you. It seems like maybe you have some resentment towards what those jurors were saying, and I'm not exactly sure how you felt they were bashing you. So if you could explain that, that would give me a lot of understanding.
I'm going to leave it with this. There's some history there, so we'll just leave it at that, if that's okay with you, Kat, because I don't want to address that and anything personal that I have had to deal with. It's my personal business. It doesn't have to be public. So if they want
Well,
to,
that's right, but you did call people groupies on a live platform, so I just wanted to see if you really meant that the way you said it.
well, I don't recall exactly how I used that word. I might have, I don't know if I exactly referred to those three as
So
group.
if I shouldn't use your words against you,
Pardon me?
if I shouldn't use words you've said, there's been 3 instances since I've gotten up on this panel where I've repeated things that you've said. You've been unsure that you've said them. You don't remember saying them, or you don't think you meant to say them the way you meant. But a core subject of this trial was words that were being said either in group text or in social media posts. So how do your standard that you want me to understand from you, which I'm willing to understand, doesn't seem to be the same standard that you are willing to apply to the defendants on trial, who quite frankly have a much higher wall that's up for you to apply that standard to them. They should have the benefit of being the defendants. They have constitutional rights. The state bears the burden of proving what their argument of what their meaning of the words is supposed to be.
Absolutely.
They have a high burden to prove that meaning.
Yeah.
So this seems like a bit of a double standard when it comes to a personal conversation you and I are having versus yourself as a as a veneer person on the jury. You weren't willing to give that same standard to another person in the room, even though quite frankly the standard was higher. I'm not sure why that is.
I'm not sure I understand where you're coming from.
Let me ask it this way. When you saw a lot of the social media posts that was being presented by the prosecution of these young people, it might be music related. There may be some lingo being used, and by the prosecution. I mean, extracted by the prosecution to paint a certain picture of these young men. Did you have an issue with them grabbing social media posts? Because you have children as well. Are your children on social media?
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
So do you?
And my advice to them is to be careful what you put out, as well as theirs is for me. Be careful at how you put out, because you don't know how it's going to be used against you. Everybody, people read things from the context of their own understanding. And some things can be subjective, and others, people might take it word for word or what it is, for what it is. So, and it may not be exactly what you think it should be, but I don't know if I've even talked about what I used as evidence. So I can't really, I
You
can't
did
really.
mention the water droplets on the side of the car,
Correct.
which aside from Hilton submitting her interpretation during closing arguments, you had a photo of that. So were you able to, when you obviously weren't in the deliberation room looking at that photo? That photo, was
that photo was presented during closing arguments.
But was that question something that Hilton asked any of the witnesses on? Is there any testimony that Hilton elicited from somebody that got into the crux of what could have caused that? Did she ask Detective Viverito when she had a conversation with Detective Viverito about the tint on her windows, her experience with tinted windows? Did she ask about how the application process works for applying tint to windows? Because if you ask me, the strategy.
How did we get from watermarks to tinted windows? I'm confused.
Because you said that her statement in closing about the photo, you just said that you don't think you told anybody about what evidence mattered to you. But you've said twice that thing Hilton said in closing about the cleaning of the car and the water on the part of the car to show that they cleaned the car stood out to you. So speaking of evidence that you thought was relevant, I'm asking you, she only gave an explanation for that in closing. She had an opportunity to ask an expert witness about it, but didn't. And because she had the last word, that's strategic. She can say that in closing, and there's absolutely no chance for the defense to rebut it and give the explanation of, well, when you apply tint, you have to squeegee liquid out. So water droppings it's common to have water droplets on the framing of the car from applying the tint.
No. Let's go back. I was not, and you can replay it at some point in time later on. I went back. I was referring to her closing arguments concerning the water droplets or the washing of the vehicle.
But do you feel that evidence was compelling?
I didn't say anything about tint, so I did see that question.
No, but that's the problem, because you took it at face value. And the defense never had a response to respond in that moment. Closing arguments, it's strategic when you have the last word. But what I'm asking you said that moment was compelling, right? That's the question. Was that moment compelling, as you said earlier?
Kat, let her finish her answer, Kat, please.
Okay, so Kat, listen to me. You're asking me, you have taken a question and you have talked about tint and water markings. And so why would you do that in an effort to get me to answer a question about something that I never even talked about? So I'm not sure if you're trying to throw something in here to confuse
you. You spoke about the water in the car. I brought up tint.
Where did the tint comment come from?
Because if you listened while I was speaking,
you brought up tint.
You brought
up tint, so I'm asking, how did we get from watermarks to tint? So let's erase the tint comment totally, okay?
Reason I brought up this, there's two reasons the tint comment is very important. You said that piece of closing was compelling to you, right? The water on the car and the cleaning.
The water.
You brought it up two different times.
Let her respond.
So the reason I mentioned tint was because when Hilton was making this argument about water droplets on the window, she had the opportunity to elicit testimony from witnesses, which would actually be considered testimonial evidence. She had the opportunity to elicit an explanation for the watermarks on the windows. However, she left that for closing, and it was her rebuttal closing, which means there was no opportunity for the defense to get up there and offer a possible alternative explanation. And really, there's no evidentiary explanation about that.
Kat, explain to her why it was no opportunity, because it was rebuttal and the defense couldn't come back up afterwards. So
right,
that's what I'm saying. So there's no rebuttal. So the reason I brought up tint is because there was plenty of opportunity for Hilton to ask the question about the process of how applying tint works, but she didn't. The defense couldn't have done it preemptorily because they likely didn't know that Hilton would submit that theory, that explanation of this photo in closing. Right? That's part one of why it's important. Part two is, do you know how tint application works?
So I think, I still want to be clear at where I am right now, Kat. You're talking about tint. I never brought anything up about tint.
If I never brought up tint.
Let me finish. I was quiet and listened to you.
But I never said you brought up tint, and this is the second time you're trying to go off on a sidebar by assuming I said you brought up tint.
I'm going to get off of this call if you can't.
Kat, just let her answer a question.
Again, I'm not afraid to talk to you, Kat. Now, again, you keep talking about tint. I never brought up tint. I'm trying to figure out why you're bringing up tint. What I said was, we focused on images of the vehicle that was cleaned. I tied the cleaning of the vehicle to the conversation that was had on a call regarding if they get the vehicle, if they scrub the vehicle or they check the vehicle, whatever the comments were. I had to look at my notes in my book to get that exact. But the conversation concerning the vehicle, the Audi that was used to kill Drinks, or to that was used in the murder of Drinks, or was that came up during the murder of Drinks, that vehicle had washed watermarks from being washed. I never said anything about the tint. So
I didn't say you said anything about the tint, and I've explained. I've never said you brought up the tint. I brought up a separate reason why I think your focus, the way it stood out to you, that this photo with the water and Hilton's argument in closing as a pair, those two things combined, you've mentioned it twice as something that was something interesting to you.
What?
And I've explained in response to you and Dennis here that I never tried to say that you said anything about tint. So somehow we spent 5 minutes where you think that I think that you said something about tint. That's not the case. Are we on the same page there?
No, Kat, I think what Kat is trying to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kat, is that her thinking about the water on the car has something to do with the murder. But what you're asking her is, do she understand that applying a tint on a car may elicit maybe droplets on the window? Because I've had tint, and I know, you squeegee to put tint on. I have had tint put on my cars in a while, but she might not understand that the reason why the car was in the condition it was is because it was tinted at some point. Correct, Kat?
Twofold.
So she's talking about that. I'm sorry.
It's that, but also that the way that explanation was given by Hilton was very strategic. There was no opportunity for anybody to respond to it. Even though it could have been something that was asked of a witness during trial, it's something that was reserved for final closing arguments, because you can plant that seed and nobody else can come water it but Hilton. So her explanation, if you are not willing to think critically, you would never sit there and think, oh, it could have been because I had my window cracked down while I ran my windshield wipers and water splashed, or I opened my door when it was raining and water spilled, or I got tint applied, and it's not uncommon when you get tint applied that when you squeegee the liquid out, it goes on the inside of the frame of the car. When the strategy there is to tunnel vision to the explanation that it's way too coincidental, and this is enough beyond a reasonable doubt to agree that somebody had their car cleaned because they murdered somebody.
So let me ask you something, Kat. In your explanation that you're speaking of, if that's something that's not presented, why am I supposed to strategically think about that, right?
Well, that's why closing arguments are in evidence.
So
But she didn't go to a deliberation.
I wasn't talking about closing arguments. What I was talking about was the evidence of the photos. So the photos that were, and what I had explained or was told by some of the other jurors was that they could not use the photos that were shown in the closing arguments because they were not in evidence. And I explained to them that yes, they were. They were in evidence. They were introduced when they got the car back from, or when the photos were taken from the rental car incident. So that's the reason I brought up the incident with the photos of the car. And they were saying that they weren't supposed to use their closing arguments. What they were supposed to use was the evidence shown in the closing arguments. It was evidence.
So sitting here today, like, you didn't partake in deliberations, but pretend this is a mock deliberation. Pretend there's 10 random people from the chat right now, and myself and yourself. Well, or 9 people from the chat. We'll put Dennis in here too. If you have 4 other people giving explanations, it could have been from window tint. It could have been from window washer fluid. It could have been from someone spilling a drink. It could have been from opening the door in the rain. Would that relax your stance on that piece of evidence being compelling?
Very likely.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, very
And see,
likely.
that's the beauty of participating in the full process of the trial and going to deliberation, and then because you're bouncing off information that you've heard in the trial. So, it's kind of hard to say what you would have done if you actually wasn't in that room.
Right.
Just right now, just right now with Kat hitting you with firing with questions. That's what it would have happened in the jury room.
Absolutely.
If you would have been the only one who was not willing to move, you would have had your fellow jurors doing exactly what Kat was doing. That's just why I wanted Kat to cook. I mean, excuse me, Kat. I want her to speak.
Well, listen, but that's what I said. I never made it to the deliberation process. So I didn't have an opportunity to weigh why I was where I was based on what was presented throughout the deliberation process. So I still can't change or I'm not willing to not change how I feel or go back and say, well, I'm in the middle. I'm saying based on what I took down, the notes I took, and how I ended the trial process up to deliberation. I had not had an opportunity to go in to weigh what I had with all of us working as a team to review evidence. So at the end of the day, I'm not refuting anything. I'm just saying that's where that's where I stood, and I left interview number 2 or the middle interview with that stance. I said this very thing. So I'm a little confused why people have a problem with where I was or what I stated. I wasn't trying to say that I wouldn't have been moved. I don't know where I would be until I go through the deliberation process. And that opportunity didn't present itself for me.
Kat.
I'm just an ad.
Kat.
Yes.
Any other questions for this witness? Excuse me, for this juror.
You still on the witness stand.
No, just I assume it's safe to say that a group of people aren't just groupies because they're sharing their expressions on one platform versus a different platform.
Response?
I have no
response.
I have no response.
We didn't move the needle just a little bit to pull back on a groupie comment.
I have no response.
Okay.
Well, I still think it's important that we had a mini mock deliberation here, and
Absolutely.
I know always very important to remember, and as had to be instructed more than once in this trial, that what attorneys say is not evidence.
You do know that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
What the lawyers say, especially in closing, is not evidence.
Absolutely. And nothing of what the lawyers said was used on my end as evidence.
Nothing.
Nope.
Well, good to know. I think this is a nice clean cut here. I appreciate the conversation.
Absolutely.
Did not mean for it to get heated, but I promise I never thought that you said that you relied on evidence about tint. Promise. But glad we sorted that out, and glad to speak with you voice to voice rather than typing to voice.
Okay, thank you,
All
Catherine.
right. No, we didn't want you. I wanted to bring you up. I didn't want you to be typing in the comment because you were. I can just imagine what you were feeling behind the screen, so to speak.
Oh, and yeah, on my phone, it's different to try to type on a phone than being at a keyboard.
I want to read some. Okay, so I have, and this is something Paul and I do. I read some of the questions that come in on the super chats. I have a few of them. Thank you, Kat, for being up here. Let's see here. I'm up, and this is these comments are that is what it is. The state didn't prove their case, and this is from Quintus C. Thank you for the super chat. Also, these defendants' rights were violated. The prosecutors lied and they lacked integrity. So many reasons for the not guilty vote. So this is someone's opinion. I
Yes,
want you to, I'm gonna read it. Any comment,
absolutely.
yes or no to that?
Everyone's entitled to their opinion, right?
Mhm.
You have to, I want people to keep in mind, you all saw so much more than the 16 jurors could see or hear unless they were on social media. And I can't say that everybody steered away from social media because I can only speak for myself. So I didn't see what you all saw. You all know about the arguments. We heard the noise, but not to the point that you could hear word for word discussions. But if the judge got loud, one of the questions is that the judge? I had those type comments.
Right.
So again, we knew something was going on in the courtroom, but we didn't know what it was all about. So you all can make comments based on what you saw and witnessed from watching social media that we did not have privy to. So I have to, respect what you all say. It is what it is, but don't make comments or things to us that were that we wouldn't have any knowledge of. It's just we didn't have knowledge.
Okay, and Quinta C Quinta G has another comment. Jurors, jurors like 409 is why innocent defendants take plea deals. She is also the type of juror who vote based on personal feelings because where's the evidence she would have used to convict. And I'm just reading these are the comments. This is
No
not my
worries.
words. Okay, so all right. There's some hard ones now. We'll read them now.
Hey, read them. That's their opinion. They can have it.
Okay, she said, bring it on. Next one. If Kat ain't going to do nothing, she's going to stand on business. And Kat was standing on business. Hold on. Okay. Michelle, what did she think about the male black defendants with white attorneys being adverse, adverse adversaries to two black women? So let me read that again. What did sorry guys. Okay. What did she think about the male black defendants with white attorneys being adversaries to two black women?
Adversaries to basically two black women. I'm not sure what I was supposed to think about that. I mean, they are who represented the defendants. It's who they chose. I did not pit. I, I didn't look at a. I didn't look at it as it because it sounds like a racial comment. I think.
And
Or
again, I'm gonna read the question. If you don't, if I read something you don't want to respond to, that's on you. You don't have to respond to it. I'm just gonna
yeah,
read it.
I don't have
Okay,
a problem
next one.
with that.
Okay, I'm gonna read. Yeah, just say no comment or you respond.
Mhm.
Okay. I just want to say Kat is being very respectful and 409 is not.
Okay, that's your opinion. You can have it.
Okay. Kat, she does not understand how the application works. You have to explain the connection for her to understand. Explain the 10th application pro.
I think she did that.
She did that. Okay. Let's see here. Wait, what the heck? Nothing there. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay, we did that already. Let's see here. First of all, Princess, let me just go ahead. I didn't say a name. Okay, Princess Waku had that comment. Let me go to the next one.
That one right there.
Okay,
Help. Was the water
let me
streaming
pronounce
off?
her name first. Tevis Tevishia Dinkins. Oh, when was the water droppings on the car?
Is she asking me that?
Uh, yeah. Cat left already. Hold on. Okay, Danny IRL asks, Hilton talked about the tent with her whole chest a million times. She did. Okay, let's see. Princess Waku asks, beyond that, what about the medical examiner? What did you think about the medical examiner?
In reference to the
Right.
drink.
Yeah, Princess Waku, you might want to ask a more thorough question there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back to you. What do you think about True to it asks, what do you think about District Attorney Fonnie Willis?
I don't have an opinion of District Attorney Fonnie Willis. She's trying to do, I really don't have an opinion. She's trying to do her job, and she's trying to clean up the city. And I mean, what can you say about that? So she's another Black woman. I have nothing negative or to report on that. I have nothing to say on that.
I had a question before I read the next one. During this trial, there was various hearings going on in another RICO case.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to address something someone else said. No, this is the first gang RICO case. Gang, we're not talking about the APS, but gang RICO case in Georgia history, if I'm correct. Now there was, and there still is until it's to its conclusion, another case involving the former President-elect Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
What did you know about that going into this trial, knowing that was another RICO case? Did you know there was another RICO case?
I didn't.
Okay. When did you
I
learn
didn't.
about that one?
I knew there were a number of defendants. As you're hearing this indictment, it was kind of challenging to try to keep it all together, right? So hearing after, as a matter of fact, after the verdict came down for this particular case, I think there was another one that came up with Jimmy Winfrey, and I recall hearing his name. I don't recall. I know his name was called in this particular.
Right. You're talking about the plea deal that Mr. Winfrey
The
took
win.
a couple of
Correct.
days. Okay.
Correct. So I was able to see that. And then while on that particular one, I heard reference to the others. So I was just not aware of any of this at all. So I'm pretty new to it all. So I really don't have an opinion about it. I don't know how one is going to affect the others. If they're all tied in, how does the verdict on this one affect those coming down the road? That's going to be interesting to see play out.
No, because I know you were instructed not to watch
Correct.
this trial on TV, but you did have access to a TV, right? When you were home, you watching other things, weren't you?
Can I tell you something?
Right.
I stopped watching TV a year ago or longer. One of my habits was the moment I wake up after saying my prayers, I turn on CNN and I watch the news. And so it was a habit that was broken during this trial because I wanted to do what was asked, and that was a habit of mine to turn on the news. Matter of fact, I didn't even watch the race for the presidency. I came home because I was exhausted from the trial and I went to bed.
Did you vote?
So I did vote. I went and voted, but how I voted, but I didn't stay up to watch the race is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Because this trial was it was mentally taxing. And so I didn't want to watch the news, didn't care about it, whatever it was. So I got up the next morning and learned, what happened, which was shocking nonetheless. But
what happened as far as the results of the election?
Right. blown away with that. So it's like, okay, yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I still don't come home and turn the TV on, because that's a habit that I had when I walk in the door in the evenings when I'm coming home from work. The first thing I do is put my bags down, I grab the remote, and I turn on the news. That's a habit that was broken during this trial.
Mm.
And so I still don't have this desire to turn the TV on to watch the news.
Let me read this next one here. Nina 812 writes, 409, go to Bethel Fanny Plan. What? Final jury selection before a verdict minus alternate 409 is when the qualified jurors deliberated. Not guilty. Stop playing melanated versus colonial religious Jesus. Okay. No comment. No comment.
No comment.
Okay. Let's go. Hey. I'm just gonna read the comments, guys. The super
Love that.
chats. I think I read all those here. Okay, here's a good one. LaShawn asks, what does she think about still being held in contempt? Now that the trial's over, what do you think about the judge holding still in contempt?
Now, I did go back and watch that, and I thought it was a little harsh.
Mhm.
But hey, the judges can, they try to manage their courts, and learning now that something was going on. I mean, we did not know what was going on, right? So I forgot what they said the process was called when I think this had to do with the prosecution having one of the witnesses, I think Woody, back in the judge's chamber. And I think this was something regarding his plea deal. Now, forgive me if I'm not succinct in it all, because people have to
Yeah,
understand.
Woody, it wasn't Woody's plea. Woody didn't have a plea deal. He took the fifth, and
Took the fifth. He
and he
took the
got immunity because he took the
yes.
fifth. Right.
Yes. So yeah. So not understanding all of what was happening, we didn't know what was happening, but I think I saw the video like this week or this past week, but I haven't watched all of that, to be honest. But I did see a short of the interaction between Judge Glanville and Steele, and so I don't have an opinion on it, really. I'm sorry.
Okay, so this is my question. You saw the testimony of Attorney Kayla Bumpus while you were a juror. What do you think about her testimony?
Kayla Bumpus?
She was the attorney representing Woody. You don't remember that attorney?
I don't remember her. I don't recall that testimony. It was a lot. Yeah.
You sound like Woody now. You don't recall. Okay.
I don't recall.
Hold
I
on a
think
second.
isn't there some I saw her name. I saw a short, and I saw something pertaining. Is she the attorney that married Stillwell?
Yes. She's
Oh,
attorney
okay. No
Mary
comment.
Jackson. No comment.
No comment.
Okay. No comment. Okay. Okay. All right. Hold on a second here. We'll come back to this. Let me see something. I want to just see something here. Okay, hold on. Oh, that was outside the presence of the jury. Okay. All right. Okay.
It was?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was outside the presence of the jury. Okay.
Okay, good. Because I was like, I don't remember her being a witness.
Right. It was outside the presence. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. It was outside the presence of the jury. The jurors weren't there. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It's late. Hold on. Okay. In her first interview, she mentioned that the defense was unnecessarily disrespectful to the judge. Can she give an example?
There was a lot of there was a lot of back and forth that we witnessed, but I think there was more. There was a lot more outside of our viewing. So
I got to
when I
read this. Oh, go ahead. I'm listening. I'm listening. This is
yeah, that one's not is not important either. So.
no. I
But
got it.
I think the goal was to go back and watch some of these videos and interactions with, because I remember someone making a comment that she was talking about steal, but what about love? They have to remember we didn't see all of that. And a lot of it, the disrespect didn't happen in front of us, but yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That
I'm,
yeah.
I'm,
What
I'm
what's
going
the
to flush
question? We're
that out.
laughing at a question.
No, I'm gonna flush that out in a minute. But he's right. Classic Beats is he is the stream sponsor tonight. Shout out to Classic Beat. I gotta get you. I had to hit you with a beat. Hold on. No beat. Classic. Hold on. Classic. I'm sorry. Okay. Yes, you're right. I'm going to need therapy after this.
Absolutely. Mm.
Okay. Let me hold on. Private joke, ladies and gentlemen. He and I know he and I know what's going on. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Hold on here. Who else we got in here? I know I missed somebody. Yeah, it's let me just say this. It's I don't know if it's important now. Husband Dennis. Okay, husband Dennis. Okay, I don't know. I'm reading some of this stuff coming in here. Let's see here. Let me just see something else here real quick. All right. Let's see here.
Oh, that private joke later.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, people are really interested in what you have to say. You
For
know,
real.
yeah, they're interested in what you have to say.
Listen,
Um,
listen, guys. I was not in the deliberation room, so I'm not sure why y'all are after me. Like I am not the important one. But I have some people you can talk to, though.
we gonna bring them people on too. We don't want to talk about too much. We got a few people we're gonna
Okay.
bring on.
Okay.
We're gonna bring some more people up, but other jurors, but we're gonna hold off on that. You know,
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna be easy on that one right now. I don't want to say too
Okay.
much.
Okay.
No, therapy is not done yet. It's not done. I saw that comment. Therapy is not done yet. Let's see. Okay. Let me see. Someone said I missed someone, sus. Let me see. I missed someone. Hold on. Who did I miss? I don't want to miss anybody. Hold on. I'm gonna scroll down. You said I missed someone. Okay. Okay. You don't have to make a comment if you don't want. Let's just leave that one there. I'll put that one up now. We're gonna keep on going. See, that's the thing about these super chats. They come in and you got it. Okay, we're gonna leave that one alone. Let's see here. Oh, I see. Well, no, let me. Okay. Shout out to Nintendo. Nintendo. Cat has a few ones there. Okay. So Mixed Chick asked this question: Why wasn't is found on Shannon's? I don't Talk Ebonics. I'm sorry. I don't know. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Okay. Oh, I see this one here. Hold on.
Can you confirm for the record that you? Oh gosh. Okay. I need some readers on for this. Nor your husband.
Can you confirm? This is from Nintendo sir. Can you confirm for the record that you nor your husband know or have ever been in contact with any of the witnesses, to include detectives in this case?
I can confirm that neither me nor my husband have been in contact with any of the witness on this case,
That would include detectives, any of the witnesses. So you cover that.
including detectives.
Okay. All right. All right. Tell me if I missed anyone else. There's a lot coming through here. Okay. Let's see.
My husband didn't even, when he was working, and I'm not ashamed to tell. Well, you know what? Never mind. It's my personal business.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Don't drop too much tea now. Or you can drop whatever you want to drop, but just remember, that may sway the public's opinion even more.
Right. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion. It doesn't make
Right.
it right, but it's their opinion. You're entitled to it, just like I am.
Okay. I see questions come in the regular side, but it's not a super chat, so I don't think I'm gonna read it. I see some of the questions. They're good questions, but I'm just not going to read it. That would be unfair to those who have. Okay. If she knows the witnesses can't. Well, did you know any of the witnesses that took? And I'm asking this question. Did you know any of the witnesses that would include members of law enforcement that participated in the trial?
No, I did not.
Okay.
No.
All right. Okay. All right. So I think I covered everybody.
Not unless they were on first 48.
Whoa. Wait. Oh my goodness.
First 48. That's no. You know what I did? I
Oh
did.
my God.
Let me go back. I do want to say this. There was one witness. Let me go back. I have to correct that. Whoever asked that question, I apologize.
Oh God.
I didn't know any of the witnesses, the detectives personally, right?
Okay.
But there was a show. It's not the first 48. The two gentlemen that have a show. Oh gosh, and I'm not even remembering their names. One was his. I don't even know. Did he have a Hispanic name?
Are you talking about the Detective Vasquez and Detective?
Yes. I used to watch their show.
Oh, but did you know them?
I don't know them personally. No.
Okay. So it doesn't count.
No.
Doesn't count.
I was introduced to Vasquez at a basketball game before, but other than like.
Wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Were you introduced to him before you became a juror?
Like maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Did you reveal this?
I didn't remember him until I saw him at when he was became a witness. Mm-hmm. Don't be humming to that. That don't mean anything. Listen to the evidence. That's what you do.
Right. Okay.
You separate the two.
Okay. No smoking gun there. Let's see.
No smoking gun.
No smoking gun. Hold on a second. Hold on a second here. No smoking gun. Because they're looking for it.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Miss Buckeye. You've been a member for 3 months. Shout out, Miss Buckeye. Guys, you asked some good questions here, but make them stand out now. Make them stand out. How are you feeling for 09? Because this was you were in a hot seat tonight.
Oh yeah, and I'm okay with it. Okay, I'm okay being challenged a little bit. I'm not afraid of that. I appreciate her doing that, you know,
Yeah, no,
because
no.
at the end of the day, if jurors are really engrossed in the process, then we get to that. You get what I'm saying? We'll get to that in deliberation. But again, I said, you know, it would have been nice to be able to sit in the 12, but I was not able to do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Danny asked this question. Was it concerning to you that there was no GSR found on the car headliner nor on the defendant's clothing?
It was, yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was. And so that's when the question mark came. The question, so this is how I kept my notes. As we heard the evidence concerning that particular situation, the car, I mean, because you can go wash your hands, wash your body, whatever. You the question, I put question marks mark in my notes as to why. Okay, can I get more on this? And so when the information came up about the vehicle being washed,
Mhm.
um, that's when that's when I put a note beside that. And that piqued my interest a little more as to, can I connect this? Can I pull these two together? The call, the vehicle being washed, but not being able to find the explanation for not being able to find gunshot residue on the roof of the vehicle, that was
But
explained.
there was no evidence that came out that the vehicle was washed.
Correct. If it was washed,
Right.
you wouldn't have anything that, you
But
know.
you couldn't consider that because it wasn't something that was, I mean, that would be speculation that it was washed. You don't have any
I, I
proof to support that.
I think that's why the pictures that showed the watermarks, I think that's where that came in for me.
And that could have been,
Cleaned.
it could have been,
But
it could have been rain. It could have been anything,
on the
right?
inside of the, no, we're talking about the inside of the vehicle. We're
Okay.
talking about the door panel and the dashboard, where you had watermarks down the dashboard and watermarks down the side of the driver's side door. Like,
Which could be as a result of tinting.
which is what Kat was saying, but I didn't have to take that into consideration. But I get now what she was trying to say. Well, I got, you know, before she got off, I understood what she was trying to say, but that's not how I took the evidence, because I
Right.
didn't, I didn't take into consideration that piece about the tinting of windows. Because I didn't relate that with the watermarks. I related the watermarks to the car being cleaned, the
But
wash of the vehicle.
but there was no proof that the car was clean. There was no receipts. There was no one testified that the car was clean. So
Why would there be receipts if they washed it themselves? If they like took a rag? Because what it looked like to me is that a sponge was taken and the water, the droplets, they're not droplets, they're actually runoffs of water. There were runoffs in the pictures. I remember the pictures. There were runoffs on the dash, on the driver's side of the dash, as well as on the door. So that's why that stood out to me.
well, I'm sure your fellow jurors would have kind of uh, reminded you that there was no testimony to support that theory. I think you're probably you might, I believe you would have probably all sided that there was nothing to support that theory, which would have provided reasonable doubt. And if you have reasonable doubt, what do? When in doubt, you don't convict.
Mm.
When in doubt, do you convict? And when you're in doubt,
No, 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 you don't. But I didn't have any reasonable doubt. That was the That was the understanding I had from what was presented in the evidence. So I'm still going back to the pictures. I have not changed my mind about that.
Okay, can you articulate for me where during the trial that you had reasonable doubt about the evidence that was presented by the state, and it was questionable evidence that you had an issue with, testimony and or physical?
Honestly, because I've had some time to like let go of some of this, right? I don't have any notes.
Right, right. I know you don't have notes, right? And that's
I don't have anything that I can concretely say to you. There are plenty of question marks in my notebook. I can assure you of that, right?
Mhm.
Because if I couldn't tie something, I'm sure there's some reasonable doubt in my notebook, right? Because there are plenty of question marks and questions I ask myself. How do I tie this? How do you tie this to YSL? How is this tied to Thug? How is this? Where does this come in? So there are a lot of those in my notebook. So those questions were placed in my notebook, highlighted, and given a space marker so that in the deliberation process, I could utilize that to come to some type of conclusion. And again, I didn't get to do that. So my notebooks were full of those.
April asks, was the windshield tinted? I don't remember the windshield being tinted. So I can answer, I don't remember the windshield being tinted.
It was pretty dark. The entire car was pretty dark.
But the windshield,
Hmm.
well, um, I don't
If
recall
I'm
that.
not mistaken, I I remember the initial photo at when they were leaving, when he and the young lady who testified that tied him to the gun. Um, I remember when they were leaving the rental car company, you could see clearly into the windshield. But after photos were taken, after the windows were tinted, you could not.
Mm. Okay, let's see here. Do I have any more questions that I need to read? Did I miss anyone's question? Okay, okay. Was your day one opinion guilty?
No, absolutely not.
Come on,
Come on, y'all.
come on now. Day
Come on.
one guilty, but I understand.
That heard any evidence yet.
She's basically asked, did you come in wanting these guys to be found guilty?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Were you aware that a juror was during the voir dire process was arrested for recording the process of voir dire?
I actually just watched that video yesterday. I was not aware of that.
Mm.
I do remember during voir dire process, a young lady not showing up, and I remember him sending the sheriff's department out, to go find her. And I
Mm.
believe that was the young lady had to write a 30-page paper or something. She had to write a paper.
Right. I think that was in lieu of her having to do the time.
Yeah.
The judge, there was a lot of things going on there, but yeah, let me read this here. So let's see. So that would explain the water on the dash. This is what April O'Neill's baby daddy. April O'Neil baby daddy. Okay. Let me read this other question. Okay. Nintendo also has another question. Did you or your husband agree with DA Love having a selecting juror followed to and from their home to confirm the juror's Fulton County address?
Hmm?
I don't
I
think
think
that.
I think I know who they may be talking about. We had a young lady, one of the jurors, who actually moved out of Fulton County,
Mm,
and they may have, I don't know this for certain, but I've seen that question multiple times, or I've heard someone talk about them following someone to see where, if they lived in the county or not. That's the only person.
who was talking about that? Someone, one of the jurors?
It was it was one of the jurors. We started with 18,
Mhm.
and two fell off. One got sick, and the other was a young juror who, she was the youngest juror of the entire group. She lived with her grandmother, and they moved out of the county. They moved out of Fulton County.
Uh, I don't know if I asked you this question. When you discovered, because you obviously realized that you were put on camera through uh, an accident. Um, how did you feel when you found out afterwards the trial was over that no one told you that you were put on camera?
Um, just a little disappointed, because that's something that we would have known, that we would like to have known, so that if we felt endangered or feared for our life or exposed, let me say exposed more so, because we were given all this information about, be careful about this, be careful about that, don't walk to court, don't park your car and walk into court. We're gonna park you in a general area, and we're gonna come pick you up. And so you're made to feel like you need to be careful. And
Mhm.
so if you show my face, then give me the opportunity to decide whether I want to remain on the case, on this trial.
And I think that that's why you weren't told, because um, any diminishing of the jury pool as it stood then would put the trial at risk.
It's not our fault.
Hold on a second. What cool? Did I miss you? I just seen something here. What cool? Princess what cool? Did I read Princess what cool? Let me see if because she's okay. Princess what cool? I thought I read yours. Princess what cool? I did read yours. Let's see here. You just let's see here. I know I read Princess were cool. Yes, I sure did. I don't know what you got going on. Princess were cool. I read yours. Tell me what are you upset about? Let's see here. Listen, Lisa, get the stepping, Lisa. Let me help you out, Lisa. Get the stepping, Lisa. I know what I'm doing, Lisa. You just don't understand the method of my madness, Lisa. Okay, let's see here. Any other questions? FKA. Cat, I don't understand what you're saying there, but we'll talk offline. I don't know what you're saying. All right, here. No, I didn't skip the question about a husband. What do you mean? What question? You asked about a husband. We didn't skip the question about a husband. We read that. No, I didn't see that question asked. I'm gonna ask the question. Do you have any members of your family members of law enforcement
Yes.
currently?
Retired.
Retired. Anyone close to you?
Absolutely.
You said that with your chest out. Absolutely. Okay. Do they live in the house with you? If you want to ask, you don't have to ask that. You don't.
No, I better not answer that.
Okay. All right. All right.
Answer probably is answering it, so
Oh my goodness.
I'm well protected.
Okay. All right. Okay. You guys make up that as you know. I got members of my family in law enforcement.
Yeah,
Yeah. maybe one of my siblings, maybe one of my children. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. So I knew it.
I mean, I'm sure people
A
will want.
princess in a new one. Princess in a new one. Hold on, princess. She said someone said princess in the new one. Okay, princess. I'm gonna go from bottom to top. Let's see here. I'm gonna see. Princess sent the new one. We don't want to listen, Princess. Okay, here we go. Okay, Princess said, well, you skipped my question regarding medical examiner. Okay, let me find that question regarding the medical examiner. I'm sorry, Princess.
He was supposed to give us clarity on it, I think.
Right.
Um,
Right. Okay. I know I said you had to give me clarity on that one, so I really
I
missed it.
thought there were multiple medical examiners.
Right. Yeah. What do you mean by the medical examiner? What was the particular question? That's what I know. I read it. So Princess, don't play. You know I read it because it wasn't a clear question. Here you go. Here you go. Right here. Let's see what he said. Beyond that, what about the medical examiner? And I read that. But what do you mean? What about the medical examiner? Come on, Princess. Don't play me like that. What do you mean? Go ahead, write your full questions in the. You don't have to do it in a super chat. Just write your question and I'll read it. But flesh out your question because I didn't understand the question myself. No, so it's a Dennis is slow. Let me see here. I'm gonna show you how fast I am. You're in the timeout. Sit your butt. Okay. Right. They want me to read 700 people in the chat, and then he's slow. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I don't know what happened. That's lost all my comments. Hold on. Okay, we back. Hold on. Oh, okay. So, what did you think about what the medical examiner said in the Drinks murder?
The verdict is still out on that one. The jury is still out on that one. I just
The jury. What? The jury said what they said. What do you feel about the Drinks testimony from the medical examiner?
I mean, are they asking me? Was she convincing? Questionable. What are they asking?
What the medical examiner said about the broke lights? I don't remember that. Okay.
She shouldn't have been talking about broken lights.
Right. Yeah. No.
Are they referring to stating that he was killed instantly, or would have been killed instantly when the bullet?
I want to do something, but I don't. I'm gonna drop the link. I'm gonna tell you what. We got another 15 minutes, and then we're done. But I'm gonna drop the link. I brought Kat up, but I'm gonna bring a few other people up, and I'm gonna let you ask some questions because okay, hold on. What do you know about Young Thug's father and the former sheriffs? Personal dispute that happened years ago.
I have no knowledge of that. I don't know Young Thug's father, and or share or who he. I have no knowledge.
I didn't know about that myself. Well, thanks for saying that. Thanks for saying that. Hold on. Okay, and the link is for right now. I'm gonna drop the link, and this is for first and foremost anyone who has sent a super chat. You may click on the link, and I'll bring you up. I put the link there, but you better be respectful, or I'm gonna shut you down. Okay, you can click on the link. All those who have put in a super chat name goes for my guy, the sponsor of this stream, Classic Beats. You are welcome to come up. Because she is made of steel. Okay, Danny's has let's see here. In the interest of fairness, I'd like to think that given the chance to deliberate, you would have been objective. Although you said you would have hung the jury. And this is what, I agree with that statement, but do you agree with that statement?
So again, my stance was just a stance, and I don't think people understand what I'm saying. It was a stance. After hearing the information, you come into the jury room and you deliberate. You talk about where you are, how you got there. Did you miss something? It could have easily moved the needle on where my stance was. So I think that's what she's trying to say.
Yeah, and I would hope you wouldn't come in closed-minded.
Correct.
But my man, roll one up. Roll one up. That's roll one up. What you got? You bringing some gifts over here?
Man, I had a quick question.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. I'm just having a little fun. Well,
So
hold on.
she's,
First of all, say hello to my guests.
hey, how you doing? 409.
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm blessed. Okay, so you say you have a notebook full of questions that went unanswered. Does that mean that there's reasonable doubt?
Hmm.
It could mean that part of the evidence that was presented might not have been as clear for me. So I left a question mark to come back to, or to maybe see if it was necessary to utilize it in the deliberation process. It might have been unimportant. So I don't know. The question mark helps me to come back, because if I could not tie it, I could not use it. You get what I'm saying? If I could not, it was more so for the purpose of, if it did not solidify anything for me, I could not use it. If
If
I
it
could
did,
if I couldn't come back, and it could have been a question, and I'm saying this because I did this with throughout the entire process. So I'm not being specific to anything. So if it was something that I needed clarity on, or not per se, for it could have been brought up for discussion for me to ask amongst the jurors.
So that's
What did
reasonable doubt. That it could lead to reasonable doubt if you had a question. If it wasn't answered, then if there was significant questions that you had reasonable, you had
especially a notebook full of questions.
a notebook that you don't have right now, it could have swayed your position to side with the other jurors.
I got two
Yes,
more quick questions. I'm so
certainly.
sorry.
Well, hold that question. Your second one.
Okay.
I want to let Princess ask her question. Hey, Princess, how are you?
Hey, Dennis, thank you for letting me come up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud. You got a good system there. Stereo.
Okay, I have two questions, but I'll say the first one because I know he wants to ask another one. So what I was getting at was the medical examiner. She specifically mentioned that there will be immediate immobilization. And so Shannon was gone through that light already, and the fourth car was there, and Drake's hit the brakes 3 times. And at that same exact moment, that fourth car was there, and there was an abrupt U-turn. So I just wanted to know juror 409's opinion on that, because, that is what everyone perceived as reasonable doubt based on that medical opinions. That medical experts understanding, medical examiners understanding.
Combined with the lack of GSR.
Correct.
So the video, in the way that they replayed it back, I still was challenged from the juror stand, still challenged with seeing the 3 brake lights or whatever, or 3 times hitting the brake, which it did, in all honesty, it did present a question to me. Was he immediately, because I'm questioning the medical examiner at this point. Could there have been any movement? Did the bullet go to his brain immediately? Did it take time to travel? Did it take time? So yes, it did present question with that. So, you know, I
Okay,
just
so
I did not see 100% of what some of the other jurors came to the conclusion in the deliberation process.
I guess my question is, she's an that's her profession. She's an
Correct.
expert.
Correct.
So, right. So that, I think that's what they based that on, is instead of speculating,
Right.
because all the other things could have been taken up for interpretation. But
Mhm.
she clearly said that that would have caused immediate immobilization. And you couple that with an abrupt U-turn, and I guess that's how they concluded reasonable doubt. So I just wanted
But
to know your
yeah,
opinion on that.
and so I credit the defense with bringing that in as reasonable doubt because that's how it was viewed. So yeah, that's where I am.
okay,
All right.
Ro, I want you to have your question. I have someone else up here as well. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. This one last question. I just want to know and recap for me one more time. What was the concrete evidence that will make you say that these boys were guilty? In case I missed it, your explanation.
So again, I used the evidence photos, the jail calls, the wiretaps, all of that. You all may be specific on one or two things. I had multiple things. And again, I don't have my notebooks, but for me, I had multiple connections. If you can see a chart where you're tying or you're connecting things, I was making notes to go back and add jail calls, wiretaps with
Even with it was no strong evidence presented, in my opinion, of Young Thug. You would have convicted him?
I eliminated Young Thug when we got back to the courtroom and he was gone. So I can't say that I would have convicted Young Thug because up until he was gone, you hadn't
We'll never know that one.
no, you still hadn't even heard all of the evidence. So
That's
I
true.
couldn't say now he pled guilty. So was he just, did he just plead guilty on
No process.
yeah, I'd have to go back and look at that video because I haven't seen that video.
Yeah, you can't just say he pled guilty. He had very
No contendere.
yeah, no contendere.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but again, I haven't looked at all of we have not seen, let me say it like this.
It's a lot to unpack, and two of the
Absolutely. I have not seen all of those videos on each situation and probably will not even go back and look at it all. But no, I'm not going to say that because I do want to be a little bit more clear on how everything played out and even watch some of the testimony, go back and look at some of the testimony after coming through this whole process. So I'll take that. I'll walk that back because I do want to really see if I can see what others possibly saw because I missed some things. So again,
hold your question. I see you cooking up in there. I saw the eyebrow go up. I'm saying he's ready to throw another one in there. But before you do that, let me ask who else? Who is that? Is that you, Nindisa?
Hi, it's me,
How you pronounce your name?
Nintendosa.
Nintendosa. I used to have a game that had sounds similar, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. So, Juror 409.
yes,
My questions are a little bit more direct that just kind of give like a lot of yes or no answers. And the reason being is because I am somewhat of an extension of law enforcement.
okay.
And so with you having law enforcement members so close to your family and whatever else, to me, this is just me speaking. It kind of plays into how and why you're so invested in kind of like needing to explain that you have a more I'm trying to use the right words here. Why you just have a more you're a little bit more critical and invested in how you're responding to a lot of, like the involvement with the way everything was handled.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that being the case, during jury selection, and considering you've pretty much confirmed that it's either your husband
Mm-hmm.
or someone else very, very close to your son is retired law enforcement,
Mm-hmm.
or, and I'm assuming a part of that county, which you also confirmed how you probably met one of the detectives that was on the case that ended up being a witness and things like that. So during jury selection,
Mm-hmm.
are there any questions asked where you would have needed to be able to kind of expose that during the selection period where, it may not end up being, like a conflict of interest, or, you being connected that way? You've probably been around, because I think it was rumored before that you're actually a paralegal. So for you to say tonight that you're in education, there's different things that's out there like about you right now. One of them is the fact that you're actually a paralegal, or you have like some type of experience like that. So I'm just wondering, was there anything asked during jury selection that you may have been like, well, you know what, with this particular question and with me being connected the way I am, maybe it would be a conflict of interest for me to still participate?
Okay, I'm glad for your question. I appreciate it, which is why I did everything I could to get off of this trial. I think I explained that either in my first or second interview. You have to reveal everything about your personal life.
Right.
Let me make a correction and this is not a correction for me. I'm a legal assistant, which is administrative. I'm not a paralegal. I'm not sure who put out that I was a paralegal, and I've never said that I was a paralegal.
Okay.
That I was a legal assistant. So yes, you are absolutely on point. And I was told, if you tell them that you are related to someone in law enforcement, you would be able to get off of this trial. So I was specific to say, I have someone in my family that's in law enforcement. So no, it did not remove the need. The judge was adamant that didn't matter. And I was told now that they can even put attorneys on jury trials now.
Yeah, they do that all the time.
Right. And that was Glanville. I just want to confirm it. That was Judge Glanville. That was
Yeah,
like,
it was
that
Glanville.
doesn't matter.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Dennis, I have one more question and I want to get down.
Yeah, I saw your message.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll let
Ask
her
your
finish.
question.
Okay.
Well,
My last
before you,
question.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
We have focused a lot on the drinks situation. I'm just curious on your opinion on the Donovan Thomas, because obviously we know Yak and Shannon were accused of that, but we didn't see Shannon anywhere in any of those videos, and we saw Yak at a gas station getting into a Pontiac, and then we saw Ms. Hilton throw out a fury during closing that I submit to you that he switched cars behind the gas station, et cetera, et cetera. So my question is, was there a reasonable doubt in that
Part of the case.
that one there? Yeah.
Possibly, and I say that because I had question marks in my notes on that piece regarding the exchange of cars, but then we had the audio or the wiretap. I believe it was a wiretap of him not being with the actual individuals that he started out with, if I'm not mistaken.
There was
You're
no
talking about
wiretaps for Thomas. That was way back in 2015. There was only wiretap in 2022.
There was a call made, and I believe it was
Or it might have been a jail call.
Yeah. Was it, you think, no, it was someone who was waiting on Yak to get to the house, and he was not in the car with the individuals who had already made it to the house, who he initially was in the car with. And
Okay, what
so,
about Shannon?
I believe he was in that car that had already made it to the house, if I'm not mistaken. if I'm not mistaken. So the question remained is if he was not in the car with the original individuals, where was he at that time? When now the other evidence I was using was the two defendants or prior defendants. You take Woody, who I gave no credence or no credit to Woody in the courtroom, none at all, because I believe anytime your life is in danger or you fear for your life, the life of your child, and the life of your other half, I think she was girlfriend, when that incident happened, he had to make it clear that he had nothing to do with that murder and stated what someone else told him, which could be perceived as hearsay. However, two people were stating the same thing, that these are the individuals who killed Peanut or Nut or Thomas. And so those were.
So you don't think he was finessing the investigators in the interrogation room?
So
He testified he was finessing.
Correct. My notes were based off of the investigators' interviews in the interrogation room, specifically with Woody, the day that the young lady was in there with him. And I did not believe he was lying.
You talking about Gaither or Viverito?
No, with I believe he was in with Gaither. Forgot the tall gentleman's name. I'm losing his name right now, but he was in there. Dennis, yeah, and the other gentleman. I think all three of them were in there with him.
Okay.
He started out maybe with one, and then two more. Like he was in what, like an 8-hour interview.
Mm-hmm.
So that particular video or interview, and then Lil D, was it Little? I think it was Little D.
Lil D.
One of the D's.
Quindarius Zachary.
That's who it was. Quindarius Zachary had the jumpsuit on, orange jumpsuit, and he had a medical issue. Correct? Is that I think that's who that was.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, QZ,
Yeah.
QZ. Yes.
Yeah, his interview. So in essence, that's what I had making. That's what I used and got my notes from.
I'm sorry. So watching QZ, Mr. Zachary testify, could you tell that he was a little sick medically?
I could.
Okay.
Yeah. So
And
you kind of sympathize with situations like that. So, later on, we kind of talked about that, him being there, and I think he had just gotten out of the hospital or whatever. And so we had some emotional periods back in the back room.
okay.
Yeah.
You have an issue with some of these witnesses being forced to come in to testify, and you had Mr. Bean, you had Woody, you had I don't have all the names there, but you had several witnesses that came in and said, they were forced to be there, they were brought in under a material witness warrant. You didn't have a problem with them having to be kind of forced to be there to testify?
So the question for me remained, did they sign something? Were they released on a plea? Again, I don't have all of my notes to even, I tried to make notes
Mr. White,
yeah. I think there was a gentleman that was brought from
Chevy,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just it was a, and I should have pulled some of these clips up. But let me read this question here. No, it's a Doug. Okay, shoot. So Quinta G writes, Doug pled guilty because he wasn't going to roll the dice and get a juror like you in the deliberation room.
Hey, that's his prerogative.
Right.
I'm not bothered by that comment.
Okay. I'm gonna read it anyway. Hold on a second. I may have missed. I think I saw another one here. Hold on. Oh, they're coming. Okay. Let me. I saw 49. Let's see. Ms. Dinkins writes.
Honestly, I expect the type of comments that's coming from them because they are supporters. So I'm not bothered by any of the comments.
Right.
You support and you stand with somebody, you definitely gonna come for the people, anybody that's speaking up or speaking against. I'm not bothered by the comments. You all have at it.
Okay, so Ms. Dinkins writes, Ms. Tavisha Dinkins writes, one thing about 409 going to do is remind us her notebook had question marks. I'd pay to see those notes.
Too bad. They're shredded. I asked for it. I actually asked the judge if I could get my notebooks.
Okay, so Terrence Lee writes, when a quest remains, is that not reason? When a question remains, is that not reasonable doubt? Okay. Yeah, well, that's reasonable doubt. Okay, hold on. Let me read. Hold on.
So please understand the reason for question marks, right? You don't know all the reasons for my question marks. My question marks are for me, for my benefit, not all pertaining to reason, what you all would perceive as reasonable doubt. It could have meant anything for my benefit. So I put them there for me, for my purpose. And so if evidence was presented, but it didn't necessarily tie to anything, a question mark might have gone on that particular evidence because the prosecution could have been presenting it to come somewhere down the line that it would be tied to. And so then I could go back and say, oh, that's why they said that. And then I could put a closing or a connection to that. Look at this particular day, yada, yada, yada. So I did that as a point of reference for a lot of my questions. So.
Okay, before I go back to my panel, Danny writes, would you be shocked to know that the state tried to mislead the jury by not making it clear who was on some of those calls? In fact, argue for it.
So I'm sorry. What's the last part of that question?
Okay, I'll read the whole thing again.
Would I be surprised that they tried to mislead us?
Would you be surprised? Well, excuse me, would you be shocked to know that the state tried to mislead the jury by not making it clear who was on some of those calls? In fact, argue for it.
I
think Danny's talking about when you guys asked for certain questions. I think it may have been the first questions that you're asked about. It might have been the first or second questions that you weren't there. So this was the questions the jurors asked.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what Danny's referring to.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she wasn't a part of deliberation, but that would be a question for the ones who actually deliberated. Let's see here. Did I miss anyone? Let's see here. Let's see. Let me see. I think I don't know if I read this one. Oh yeah, I read that. Okay, good. Okay, going back to panel. Princess, you have a question?
No, I had the last one, so you can let I don't want to butcher the name, but you can let her go.
Nintendo. You have a question?
I don't really have anything else to say at this point. I did just want to kind of leave with a statement and a response to what you said a few minutes ago, 409, where you expect the questions that a lot of the people, in the threads are asking because they've chosen a side. For me, like kind of explaining from before, with me being an extension of law enforcement, I would, typically be on the side of the state. And in this case, watching this trial, I was very, very disappointed in how the state not only prosecuted, but, just looking at my fellow law enforcement officers on that stand, like those witnesses, those alleged detectives, and just the lack of, them having the things that a normal law enforcement investigator or, those type of, like it was very, very disheartening. So for me, when I'm looking at a lot of the things and how it was handled, you expect the defense to do what they do. But on the prosecution team, you definitely expect more, because it's basically the defense's job to, basically put holes in everything that the state and the prosecution wasn't able to prove. And the prosecution had volcano holes of things that it just didn't get right. And that's been my personal side of this the whole time. It's been more of disappointment. I don't listen to Young Thug. I'm 44 years old. I don't know anything about him. I just learned that the song that he had with Chris Brown that I actually loved a few summers ago, he was actually in the song. But I stay biased, on that side of it. So it's not me taking a side. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been very, very disappointed in Fulton County as a whole. That could have been my son, who visits Fulton County a lot.
Yeah.
That he could have been, and if you were exposed to everything, and if you were able to see everything that we have been able to see to see for those of us who have actually been watching it, like when you're not in the room. I think if you had the view of everything in totality, I think with you being someone who comes from a law enforcement background and having people in your family who are prior law enforcement, I'm pretty sure if they've ever operated with a high level of integrity, I know they have to be disappointed as well in the state. There's no way that they can't be, after looking at everything in the way that it was, the way it was presented. So yeah, I would just be mindful with just assuming that everybody is a fan and standing, or even, being a groupie, or like how the other ones was. For me, I'm disappointed in the people that I share this profession with more than anything else. But I thank you. I thank everybody that was on the jury.
I thank you for your words.
Mhm.
I thank you for your words, Nintendo. I'm going to say Nintendo. I'm sure I'm not the
It's
only
fine.
one. I thank you for your words. I thank you. Many share your sentiment. Those in law enforcement, as well as some that aren't. And I know some in law enforcement that wasn't marching to the beat of some of the witness testimony. I'll just leave it at that. I appreciate you coming in. I think everyone brought in a different perspective. I want to commend 409 for walking through the fire.
Absolutely.
She walked. Now, come on, the panel. She walked through the fire tonight. She was taking it. You were throwing tomatoes and lemons and everything at her. But she stood 10 toes down. Now, again, this is her opinion, and I have to respect it because it's her opinion. And just like anyone else on this panel, you guys have opinions, and and they may not be aligned with everything that everyone else is saying. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate everyone that's been on here. It's a lot. It's a lot. Let me make sure I read. I'm going to bring the two panelists down. If you want to just drop down, I can drop you guys down. Let's see here. I'll remove you, and I'm going to remove you. Thank you, Princess. I appreciate you coming in as well. Don't be a stranger over here. Make sure you're following and subscribing, and make sure you're part of the crew over here. Make sure you come back. Thank you. Let's see who else I got there. Okay. All right, 409, final words.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you for having me back on. I'm very appreciative of you allowing me the opportunity to provide clarity to those who still don't think I'm clear. It is what it is. And hey, I wasn't a part of the deliberation, and maybe there would have been some opportunity for me to see my, why I had, those questions as a first time juror. So it's been a good process. It's been long, arduous, and I think that if we could see some of the things that you all saw from your side, it probably could have made a difference. But that's the purpose of us staying sequestered in our own spaces. We had to stay away from it all because at the end of the day, I think everything could have been um, everything would, it just exposes everything and would have caused a mistrial in the beginning, so, or early on. But yeah, I appreciate the state, the prosecution for trying to do what they were there to do. I appreciate the defense; they did their job in doing what they were supposed to do in protecting these witnesses. I mean, these defendants, in getting them to where they were. And again, I don't know any of them from a can of paint, have no investment in any of them, nor the prosecution. So I want to make that clear. Just because I have someone in my family in law enforcement, it did not cause me to think one way or the other, but to listen to the evidence and go from what I could do as a first time juror. So I was thankful for the experience, and I look forward to maybe serving somewhere down the road because now I know how this process works and I'm learning how this process works and can contribute later on in my future.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful words. Let me ask you a question real quick.
Mhm.
Without identifying that individual, what did they think about the trial? Did they think that there were people that were guilty on this
Uh, they
case?
they did not follow he didn't follow the trial at all. He
Or
did
he
not
didn't
follow
follow?
didn't follow. He wanted to be sure to keep me safe, wanted to be sure, and I don't care that people know it's my husband. He wanted to be sure that I was removed. He was removed from this process. He didn't come home, ask any questions. I didn't come home and talk about the trial because in his profession as a police officer, they see a lot, they experience a lot. Their life is in danger. In most occasions, there are times when I didn't think he would come home. Here's the deal. They don't talk about what they experience out on the streets. They don't bring that home. They leave that at work. And so it's their job. And sometimes for them, it's overbearing. And so they have to walk away from that when they leave and go home for the day. And I appreciate him more than anyone will ever know that I didn't have to be questioned because going through this trial, I didn't even want to come home and deal with it. That's why I didn't turn on the TV and turn the news on. And that's why I didn't have to talk about it after I got home. I wanted to de-stress from it and just enjoy the rest of my evening so I could rest at night. I've lost a lot of sleep during this trial. And so I just want my life back.
Well, hopefully, um, you don't have to, unless you want to talk about this case, trial, or anything. Do you have any uh, aspirations of writing a book or doing anything post this?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I'll talk about my experience, and which is why I asked the judge for my notebooks because I wrote personal notes. And I think in one of my previous interviews, I mentioned to you how the first day of walking into this trial and being across from these young men. I have sons, I have stepsons, I have a blood son, and there were personal notes in my notebook. And I don't care whether people, hear this or not. There were personal notes in my notebook pertaining to how I saw these young men. I saw them as young boys starting out with their lives, and how when we were seeing videos of how they got started, in the park and all of that, and I thought about, how things could be different for them, and how they may have gotten caught up, or they may have been their lives moved in a certain way based on the experience in the community that they lived in, or didn't have interaction with people. We have so many opportunities to change the lives of young men and women every day. And so from this trial, I've taken on a passion to do advocacy with young girls and young boys. And so that's what I'll be pursuing in the coming days and the years, because, if you can change a life, if you can help a life, I think it's important that we do that. For those of us who have come along and know what to do and how to help, I think it's important that we give back to our communities, so our young boys and our young girls have a chance at life and not have to be caught up in something that they don't really understand. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Don't really comprehend that they're going in a direction that might not be good for them. And so my heart bled. I promise you, my heart bled for these young men. And so at the end of the day, there were also victims in this whole process. And I recognize that the justice system works on behalf of the defendants. And so the other question remains, what about the victims? And so you got two sides to this whole process that no one even talks about. Everybody's so caught up with the defendants that nobody's talking about the victims. And so there's so much more. There's an impact that sits well with me, that there's so much more I can contribute to my community based on what I've experienced through this trial. And I'm looking at the bigger picture for what I can do to be of service and be of help. I'm a community oriented person, and so this trial won't stop me from doing what I can do to be a benefit to my community.
Well, with that, I I I commend you for your post efforts and bringing attention to uh, the victims and the your experience and what you um, watched during this trial. Okay, so I'm gonna read this last comment, and then if we're gonna end this. Never heard of Young Thug, but I did watch the trial. What I did see is a shady judicial system.
Mhm.
Super disappointing. Super disappointing. 49 scenes biased from the start, and I mean that's again,
That's their opinion.
right.
They're entitled to it.
That's it.
Mhm.
Um,
Doesn't
I
make it
want
true.
I want to thank you, 49, for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
All righty.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Take
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time of the evening, and oh, hold on a second here. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Um, hold on one second, guys. Just seen something here. Oh wow. Hope you guys don't see this. Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and take care of this here real quick here, guys. All right. Oh, whew, what a night. Okay, hold. Did I miss one? Oh, thank you, Mimi. Mimi, new member, became a member. Woo. This was a lot, ladies and gentlemen. I know when I started this, I just wanted it to be about an hour. Listen, I seen a lot of you guys' comments. I saw a lot of them. I saw a lot of them coming in. I'll just say that. But I couldn't read them all. I had to read the ones that stood out. There's a lot. And there's a lot here. I saw that. Marla. I saw the lawsuit. I saw the lawsuit. I saw the lawsuit by Diddy and Jay. Yeah, they were going to listen, my mods. You know, it was a lot going on. It was a lot going on, mods. I appreciate all what you do, mods. Um, yeah, it's a lot, and we're going to unpack more of this because I have some other jurors that you guys haven't heard of. They're actually in the room, but right now I got to eat dinner. It's kind of late. You guys kept me here long. I got see. I got to read this. I got to read it before I leave. YSL should write a book. Surviving Juror 409. Well, they survived Juror 409. They survived it for the most part. Okay. Hold on a second here. Hold on. I'm really surprised. One final remark. Uh, uh, right. Okay. Now I see. I see some private comments that came in, and I want to correct something. Obviously, I know Kayla did not speak in front of the jurors, and that was an error on my part. She never spoke in front of the jurors. Um, but I wanted to find that she was she able to even see the exchange post trial because she knew about Shannon and Kayla being married. But I wanted to know she didn't really want to speak too much about that, so I don't know. You guys can assume whatever you want with that. She didn't want to speak to that. Someone said the title will be if a question mark could talk. Guys, you put some serious. Oh my goodness. Okay, that was funny. If a question mark could talk. Wow. Okay, that's funny. Closing arguments isn't evidence to make a stance. Exactly. Closing arguments are not evidence. Let's see here. I'm trying to end. You guys still sending these super chats. Worse than Becky Hill. I don't know Becky Hill. Listen, I saw. Listen, I saw the comments, and sometimes you gotta let people talk. You guys, until you actually have to stand in the fire, you can't really say what I would have done. It's a method to what I do. You just got, those who know. You gotta let people talk, and you gotta be able to bring other people. Do a cat, Let's see. There's no excuse for it. Cat. Cat, you want to come back up, Cat? You and I can talk now. Now that she's gone, we can come. Oh, we'll talk. We'll talk later. I'm exhausted. I have an early morning. I have a photo shoot tomorrow. I'm shooting a executive tomorrow. So outside of this, I still shoot. So I have a studio session with someone in the morning. I may take you guys in the membership to maybe stream the photo shoot. I may stream that in my membership. I gotta get clearance from them first. But I might, if I'm able to, I'll stream it. I like Roll Up. I don't know him, but I like his his question. So yeah. All right, guys, it's that time of the evening, and I appreciate everyone being here. I really do. I mean, you could have been anywhere else, but you decided to be here. And you know the saying, the way we start is the way we end. Until next time, I'm out.